California knows how to party. Our guests this week are Warren Wills and Jenny Mann, both California transplants that have been around the beer world a long time. We're going to talk about all kinds of things California. We're going to renew a rivalry. We're going to make amends. We're going to drink some beer and talk about trends on this episode of Overthinkr. Found us. I don't know how, but they found us. This is Overthinkr. Welcome into another episode. Really excited about the guests we have this evening. Gonna get to talk to Jenny Mann. Hi, Jenny.
Howdy.
And Warren Wills. How you doing, Warren? Are you getting enough oxygen?
Plenty.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Jenny, real quick, just give us the briefest version of who you are, what you do, and what you've done.
Oh, well, my name is Jenny Mann. Actually, we just moved up here about a year ago from San Diego. Spent about 20 years there and 15 years in craft beer. Did some management, worked with some amazing breweries with some amazing people. Had a chance to manage Ballast Point Brewing and Spirits, when it was Ballast Point Brewing and Spirits. And after that, worked with Cutwater, had a chance to take that to the next level. And after they took it to the next level, I created my own business. I took everything I was already doing and just put 100% into it and went in all on craft beer and social media and marketing. After that,
and
it was time.
Worked with some big names doing that, yeah?
Oh, yeah. I was
some
working,
of the folks you worked with?
Yeah, I was working with North Park Beer Company, which was one of my favorites. I got to photograph over half the breweries in San Diego, which is like over 150 breweries there. So it was a wonderful opportunity, wonderful time, and to grow up in that industry was amazing. So I got to see some of the people just kind of blossom and bloom and become who we all know them to be now. So
awesome.
That was an amazing opportunity. So, and now up here, doing the same thing, but different setting.
Yeah.
No.
Give it up for Jenny, everybody. Warren, where are you from? What do you do? What have you done?
I'm from South Pasadena. Been in Portland for 12 years by way of the Army, Korea, Oklahoma, Chicago, Minneapolis. I've been working in craft beer for effectively 12 years since I started writing about it. And it never ceases to get old. I love it. I am the operations and marketing manager at Day One Distribution currently in Portland, Oregon, not Maine. And sure. I've been writing Craft Beer Scribe for over 6 years now. I don't know. I'm losing track. I don't write as much as I used to, but I've been...
Craft Beer Scribe. We can find that on Instagram and craftbeerscribe.com. Jenny is found as Miss Beercraft.
That's correct.
I got him
right.
correct. Okay. Yeah, right on. Super stoked to have you guys here. Obviously, I want to talk about some of my favorite places as well that I know you guys are familiar with because Jenny's spending a lot of time in the San Diego area, knows a lot about those San Diego breweries. It's a place I love to visit. Mm-hmm. Warren, working now with Day One, who brings a lot of these Southern California breweries up to the Portland area. And we're super stoked about that. So you work with a lot of those breweries down that way. Since our last episode, I've been to California twice.
Okay.
It just the way things worked out, the way things happened. So I was down in LA, got to visit some places down there. We'll talk about that. And then went out to Boonville Beer Fest, and we can touch on that a little bit. I'd be happy to share a little bit of that. That's a fun time.
That's
a
a dream.
Good place.
Sounds amazing.
So this is Overthinkr. The whole idea of Overthinkr is just to hang out, have a few beers, talk about whatever comes up. I've got a few talking points. We'll get into some things. We're going to talk a lot of San Diego beer, LA beer, San Francisco beer. But I'm going to kick things off with a question for Warren.
Uh-oh, here it comes.
So Warren, do you think that, or do you feel that your pleasant demeanor and overall jovial attitude disguises for most folks the fact that you're a dirty Dodgers fan?
100%. I mean, I could, curse up a storm like any good sailor. Not that I ever was when I was an Army soldier, but
Is this how it's going to be
yes.
right here?
No. I honestly, I have heard stories that I don't even really want to discuss because friends of mine that are from Chicago that went there as Cubs fans and were in the bleachers is where you don't go if you're a visiting team.
There are stories of things have got ugly between Dodgers fans and their rivals.
There's a history.
That is true.
There's a history of violence, which is terrible.
Thankfully not between us. We've not had any violence against one another. In fact, Warren's like the only person on the planet I've brought Dodgers paraphernalia home from LA to give to Warren. So
eternally grateful for it. First pitcher I recall seeing was against the Houston Astros, which is Fernando Valenzuela, which Michael went to the retirement of his jersey and brought me back a bobblehead, which was very, very kind of him.
I did, yeah. I was excited to get down there and cross off all of the West Coast baseball stadiums, get them all off my list. And Dodger Stadium was the last stadium that I hadn't
Why would
been
that
to.
be?
Yeah.
I just don't understand why.
It's a little scared. I went wearing a Sonics jersey for my safety.
Yeah.
I figured that was the best bet. As a Seattle Supersonics jersey, they wouldn't know what to do. They'd just be confused.
They're just like, who the hell is this guy?
They wouldn't mess with me. But no, we had a good time. We sat behind Mario Lopez.
Yeah, that's right.
So that was something. Right. But yeah, finally crossed that one off my list. Crossed off the San Diego trip. Went to Petco Park in 2013. So it's been a minute since I've been to Petco Park.
Still a great year for that, though. It was like shiny and still newish.
It was, yeah, it was new. And I remember being extremely impressed at the beer selection at Petco Park. At that time, there was a lot of really great beer. I don't remember a lot of the names. I just remember looking at them all and going, there's many of them, and I don't know a lot of them, but I'm excited they're here, and I'm really happy to pay $13 to drink whatever they put in front of me. Jenny, I didn't want you to feel left out here.
Uh-oh. Okay.
There you go.
I made sure that we
perfect
that you can represent too. There we go. Now
here we are. Thank you. I'm from San Diego.
Now we've got the entire NL West represented. Because I say the entire NL West, and people are like, "Wait, no, there's only 3." Yeah, the Diamondbacks don't count. Not for much.
Nor the Rockies. Rockies are
or the Rockies. That's right. There's 5 now.
Mountain time.
Different
too.
time zone. What the Arizona same? Like what?
Right. Arizona doesn't even change they don't even do daylight savings. So they really just try to mess with everybody.
Not real.
Not real.
Does not exist.
And the Rockies don't exist in this world either. No,
I have to double check this because it is SD. I make sure because.
Yeah. It's the old Tony Gwynn style from back in the day.
It's amazing.
I bought that day in 2013 when I went to Petco Park. I bought that at Petco.
Perfect.
I bought this hat at AT&T Park.
Nice.
Now Oracle Park.
Yep.
Is it Oracle now?
I don't know. I don't know what dumpster fire you found your hat in though.
Was not at a stadium. I know.
Okay.
It's all right.
So there's a lot of excitement, on the sports end of things, of course, between the California cities. I want to talk a little bit about what's different there in terms of beer. when you look at, well, let's just go one by one. Let's go through the three cities. We'll go north to south. And I just want to ask, I'll let Jenny field this one first, and you can answer too, Warren. But when you think of San Diego beer, what's the first thing that comes to mind? What is its identifier as a culture, as a market, as a place to go visit and get beer? Like, what defines it?
Honestly, the first thing that pops in my head is camaraderie amongst the breweries, and also tourism and hospitality. I feel like San Diego's really knocked it out of the park. They've had some time to grow and learn together, and even the breweries such as like, other than Stone and Coronado, or Alesmith, it was Carl Strauss that kind of led that direction, and even they have taken a whole nother level to taking care of the smaller breweries, to taking care of those around them. So they're doing more collaborations. It was really awesome to see like the larger brands starting to do what the smaller brands were doing and collaborate with one another, because that's how everyone learns and grows. The tourism and hospitality part, everyone took it to the next level. Stone is a good example of that with their beer garden up in Escondido.
Right. Like
the
World
Liberty
Bistro.
Station,
Yeah.
I mean,
super cool place.
They did such a great job with that. And even, again, Ballast Point. Ballast Point did an amazing job when they had their 300-barrel brew house and took it to a whole nother level. Unfortunately, it wasn't completely sustainable. Like, I don't think anybody else could have managed it the way that it was managed by previous owners. It was a whole nother beast, and no one had really seen that before there, and then given it or sold it to somebody else to try to manage.
Right. They sold it to Constellation Brands at some point there, around about 2017.
Yeah, it was 2016, 2017. It was a wild time, wild time, and I feel like that's a really, really big part of it. And coming from kind of growing up again in the industry, being a home brewer, and then going to Ballast Point for all my home brew equipment, and then learning and knowing some of the people that actually were working at the Homebrew Mart. You were able to go in there and go talk to them, and then later in life, like they were, became award-winning brewers. So it was just an amazing thing to see them branch off. And another big one is like Pizza Port. Pizza Port's a classic example of amazing brewers coming from one brewery and then going on and doing their own thing. So I think that's like San Diego. It was a nest of just talent and
we've
deliciousness.
Got some Pizza Port to share here. We'll get into that a little bit. I see Swami that's their flagship IPA. I've seen that many times. What's the other one over there?
That's the Belmont collab that was done
the Belmont for Belmont Station
anniversary, which just happened a couple weeks ago.
Awesome. Yeah.
With
rad.
the PDX carpet and everything.
And that's Day One, who Warren works with, distributes.
For sure.
Pizza Port. That's rad. Warren, San Diego, what comes to mind? What do you think of first?
For the longest time, until I came to Portland, I always thought of San Diego as Stone, basically. And the only one I ever really enjoyed was Arrogant Bastard, because it was balanced, because it had malt. And I felt like all the other ones were so dry and so bitter. They were way out of my palate. Was a baby palate. It was just a little baby. And so over time, living here, having Hopworks and Breakside IPAs around circa 2010 when I first moved here, totally changed my perspective on IPA. But then the other thing I think of is, yes, it's Pizza Port, in that you've seen me write about it, the whole connection between Swami's and Vinny doing Blind Pig and Temecula, and then taking that up north, which is the transition really from San Diego to San Francisco to Terry Farendorf, who's Pink Boots, and she took it to Steelhead in Eugene, and that's kind of how the IPA traversed its way up the coast. So those are the two. It's Stone and Pizza Port, for sure. There's so much more than that.
I just had to crack myself
doubt.
a Swami, because I haven't had it in a long time. And you mentioned Stone as well. Stone was really they were like the embodiment of that era. Let's call it like 2008 to 2012.
Even earlier than that, I think, right?
Even earlier, they were doing things. But like when I think about I call that era the IBU wars. If I had to put a date on it and put it in a history class, it would say IBU wars 08 to 20. I'd say 2014.
When people were pushing the boundaries of it's over 100 IBUs. And
people
were getting all excited, like, but what does that mean to you?
Right. And on the last episode, we dove into IBUs and how really meaningless they are at the end of the day when it comes to trying to order a beer and things, and having to also calculate in like what's the residual sweetness here as well. Like IBUs is not a taste number. It's a measurement number that doesn't necessarily tell you that's going to be a more or less bitter beer. It can. If you have some 5% beers that use the same malt and the same yeast side by side, and one's 40 IBUs and one's 80, you'll taste the difference. Mm-hmm. But it's hard to do that when beer's all over the board. Anyhow, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole again. That was a segue.
But you are right though. Like we said, the IBU wars. Stone was blowing people out of the water with their. I mean, the hop profile was insane. It was something that even San Diegans were trying to get used to. People outside of the San Diego market were trying to get used to, and it blew everybody away. So they really did help lead and carve that path.
Yeah. They were highly sought after during that period too. When different stone beers made it up here, they were geniuses with the Enjoy By series. That was great. I mean, that was just like put the timestamp on your fresh AF IPA right out there and tell everybody, drink this before this date. And that seemed to go really well for a while.
Quite a while. Longer than most.
Until it didn't.
And then you're like, ooh.
All of a sudden there were Enjoy Buys on the shelf that you were like, that was 2 months ago. Yeah. There's a reason that hasn't sold is because you literally told us not to drink it after that date.
Exactly.
So you were going to say something, Warren?
Oh, no. I mean, I just in the stone realm, it's funny because my first hoppy beer was in '95 at Colorado State, where at that point Fat Tire hadn't left Colorado, and it was very much still the malty realm was prevalent. Having a Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, possibly stoned, at Colorado State University was a revelation and something far more intense than I'd ever experienced before. And a pale ale, and that beer is still very hoppy and still very
good,
well made.
I had one recently, and I hadn't had it in a while. And having so many pale ales that we have today, so this is what I was going to say. This is a good segue. What I was going to say about like what I think of with San Diego beer is I immediately go to crisp, clean West Coast IPA, like really redefining what IPA could be. Probably right around that time, probably the end of the IBU wars, was when I started to notice like, oh, these IPAs coming out of San Diego, they're not amber, they're not orange. And so many of our IPAs up this way were. Still, there was a lot of caramel malt and crystal malt still being used in IPAs, and here was this like all Pilsner malt IPA that just was so, the hops shined, and there was really not a lot of other sweetness and other things behind it, and I really enjoyed that. And to me, so to bring that back around to Sierra Nevada Pale Ale,
sure.
I went and grabbed one the other day and was really surprised to see it's more caramely than I remember. Yeah. It was like amber in color, and I was like, oh, I forgot that's what you look like.
Immediately, like you get transported back in time. Like I remember, just cooler full of Sierra Nevada Pale Ales. You crack it open, like, this is the best thing, lightest thing, most refreshing thing. And again, when you don't have it for a bit and you revisit, you're like, dang, especially after what's been, going on. So it's a whole nother level, which, again, still an amazing beer to have, still absolutely delicious.
It's still absolutely phenomenal. Yeah. But I'm grateful for that contribution. A lot of people credit Vinny with that as bringing in the crisper, cleaner Pilsner malt-driven IPAs and double IPAs at a brewery there called Blind Pig Brewing, wasn't it? So Blind Pig IPA, which we all now know as Russian River's Blind Pig IPA, that was Vinny making IPA in San Diego at Blind Pig Brewing first. Yeah. It's a neat thing.
It's an amazing full circle. Everyone is so connected in some way or another. Just the fact that there's San Diego and the Sonoma connection, it's a beautiful thing.
It is.
Yeah, and I feel like everything has a chance to also get touched on by that flavor profile. Even like Pacific Northwest, I'm tasting more and more of that West Coast style up here now. And even down there, they're also incorporating more malt profile. Everyone's just kind of, bouncing off each other, and it's really exciting.
I think the one thing that I want to mention that we don't have to go down this road, but for a long time, and before everybody got RO, reverse osmosis, which is something I had not heard really at any brewery until I went down to Southern California. It's reverse osmosis is a thing to where it's we have to treat the water because we're dealing with certain things. But before all that, there was I wouldn't say a rumor, but there was a perception, or there was an opinion that people were hopping the hell out of their beers in Southern California to hide the hard water.
Yeah.
I mean, am I wrong? I mean, you've heard this before, I'm sure.
I don't think it's necessarily hiding it. The stories I've heard, and after reading the water book, it is just the chemical reaction that ends up happening between malt and acidity and hops. And so they say, but again, most people do have reverse osmosis. You actually have to, do certain things now. Yeah.
They may not have.
So you have to really play with your beer a little bit more to accomplish a certain flavor profile. And so especially going into a larger brewery, example again would be, obviously we're talking about California beer, so I guess it doesn't matter if I keep talking about California breweries.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But Stone, Ballast Point, all of these larger breweries incorporating the reverse osmosis into there, but it gives them this clean base. But what's amazing up here is again, people say the same thing about here, and that's the rumor I always heard about Pacific Northwest is the water, and that's why our lagers are so amazing up here, is because we have this amazing soft water. And I feel like that really says something. Sure, California, Southern California specifically, kills it with their IPAs and, up here, but it could still also be one of those rumors like the IPA story going. So we're just recreating more tall tales. So.
Right. It's a game. It's a beer game of telephone.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We all played telephone when we were a kid, but now telephone gets told after 2 or 3 beers, and it gets even more distorted as we go.
But things have changed over time, and I think it's part and parcel to that. In that this reverse osmosis process has become standard. Sources of water has changed, I'm sure, to some extent for some of these breweries, but there was this sense that what are you trying to do? Are you hiding something from me?
Right.
This is drinkable.
What's wrong with
it's really bitter though. I don't know what's going on.
Interesting. Crazy. So Warren, let's go up the I-5 just a little bit.
Sure.
Not far, just an hour or two, up to LA County and Orange County.
Sure.
What same question. What are the identifiers, what makes LA area beer distinct? What stands out to you? What's the first things you think of?
Well, the first thing you have to acknowledge is the fact that the Los Angeles area, brewers came online far later than any of the other major metropolitan areas in California. Even, Firestone Walker was 97, I think. And the first one in Southern California that I'm aware of, other than maybe Eagle Rock, was Tustin in Orange County, which I did write a whole series on every state of the union. So Southern California was kind of a thing it was San Diego, LA, and Central California I lumped together. And because Los Angeles was so late to the game, yes, you had Golden Road, which was great at one point. And you can probably still find it fucking Dodger Stadium, in Mango Kart, or whatever the hell they have in 19.2s. But I think of people trying to find other avenues than IPA. IPA is definitely still huge down there, but the last time I really spent any time down there was my first visit to the opening of Common Space, which is in Torrance, I believe.
Okay.
Or there where SpaceX is, and Los Angeles Ale Works. And then down the road, yes, you have Monkish, you have Smog City. I went to all of these places, and there was a variety. Especially Smog City blew me away with just like all of the different things. And
Smog City was an early one that I became aware of.
Totally. Same here. And that was something that would show up at bottle shares, Snugglebug or, barrel-aged sours that were different than anything else that we saw up here, for better or for worse. There was more variety in Los Angeles County than Orange County. Orange County was even later than LA, I think. For the most part, you had Tustin and you had...
It was.
Shit, I don't even know what else was down there. It wasn't a lot.
It was, if I'm not mistaken, it was just Tustin.
I
used to live across the street from there.
Oh, yeah. So it was sparse. And so I haven't lived in Los Angeles since, I lived in Orange County until 2004 when I finished college in Orange County. But I left high school in 95. So my time in LA, it's like I've been there like 5 times since I graduated college.
But you're bringing beer up from down there today. So what do you think defines it today?
Today, I feel like it's piggybacked off of the IPA from San Diego. I mean, they've effectively, going down that same path that's been well trodden, which is great. And the things we're bringing in from down there, it's a lot of IPA. You have some one-off things that are really unique and individual. We're just starting to bring in Brewery West again. We brought Brewery West in for the first time in a long time.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They're hazies, and they were, when we first started bringing them, they were working with Mecca Grade, who is, I think they're still operating. I don't know if they are or not. I don't think they're selling.
I know they were for
anymore.
sale. Yeah.
They were for sale.
Mecca Grade Estate Malt down in Madras. Yeah.
And it was a thing. I mean, it was a difference maker in somebody making a hazy IPA or whatever, and the label art and all the things they were doing.
The label art
changed
from Brewery West was crazy.
That was mind-blowing. That was a game changer.
Nobody else does those. We just brought back Alligator, which is one of those ones that they cut out, and it's all
a whole bunch of stickers
ridiculous
on it. It's like their beer labels. If you're not familiar with Brewery West, it's spelled like brewery as the Bohemians or Belgians would spell brewery. And Jenny, grab your water bottle there real quick and just hold it up to the cameras. But this is basically like a Brewery West beer label, is it not? Like it's
just a bunch of stickers.
It's just like it's crazy, and I still don't even understand the process of how they do it. But
there's a video online
really
that
cool.
describes it. You can see actual video of it, but it's basically instead of a label passing through once to put one thing on there, like before printed cans became a thing. It would go back and forth and back and forth, and it basically there's they printed out the stickers in an order to where it will be timed up with the cans going through to where it stops, goes back, and then it's done. It's like 3 layers.
It's such an amazing,
it's
innovative,
ridiculous.
mind blowing, especially when everyone works so hard to create really fun labels and artwork, and then you see something like this, and you're like, oh, what?
And it's so hard to just put a label on a can to begin with. And they're like, oh, what the fuck are you doing?
Right.
This is crazy.
It's all over the place.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Jenny, what's your thoughts on LA beer? What defines it for you?
So I feel like they are truly a league of their own, and they are moving forward in the same kind of direction with it when it comes to the hospitality and tourism. They are trying really hard to push it. I know even like the guilds there between Orange County and LA, they're all doing the same kind of thing. Like, what else can we do to support our local breweries? And again, Orange County, I want to say, my number might be off right now, but I want to say they have like 35 breweries, if I'm not.
It's a small county too.
So even with LA, like LA not even being part of that, I think everyone's trying so hard to work together, to collaborate, and I think that's where that collaborative spirit really helps another brewery out, because you do get to work together. And I know with a good example would be Julian from Beechwood. I know that he was a huge influence, and he helped Kelsey along the way. Like, Kelsey brewed on his system. That's how Hop Fu was created. Like, there's this whole beautiful story that goes along with that. And
North Park.
But that's from years ago. That's from 10 years ago, nearly, because I think North Park just celebrated their 7th. So This is all before the brick and mortar was even put in place. So I just think that collaborative spirit really holds true now more than ever because people see the benefits of working together. And what other industry do you see that happen? Like, it's so mind-blowing. I always tease about, like you don't see accountants going out and, like, collaborating. Like, we got into a great field. Like, everyone gets to work together.
Yeah.
Because, again, when you get to help each other out, when you get to be there for one another, when you get to support, it's truly your community. Everybody gets to benefit from that. So, and naturally, like, the really crappy people and crappy things just weed themselves out because they don't want to be part of the cool stuff and the collaborative spirit. And I think that is a huge thing that I think LA and, like, OC have really embraced, especially over the last, I'm going to say, especially over the last 5-6 years. It's been a big part of that.
Well, and Beechwood just did a collab with Kelsey came up and did a collab at Beechwood that is a something foo. I can't remember.
It's got to be another foo.
It's another foo for sure, with an exclamation point, of course.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And Kelsey, for those who don't know, North Park.
Yeah,
Yes.
co-owner of North Park. Yeah.
Yes. For me, LA Orange County beer is. When I think of LA or Orange County beer, I think of excitement. Like an excited populace that's excited about beer and, dare I say, is allowed to be excited about beer. Like, it's not unusual to see lines for beer releases, to see big excitement over what the Brewery Tarot was doing or Bottle Logic. Obviously, Monkish came in and lots of excitement over what they were doing, and it wasn't frowned upon, I don't think, in that area. Not from anything I saw, which. I look at the Pacific Northwest where we live now. So now, Jenny, more recently coming up here, there's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of, somebody starts doing well, somebody starts having a line, somebody starts having a little bit of hype, and the industry almost wants to try to stop it. Almost wants to say, like, oh, that's not beer. Beer should be accessible.
Calm down.
And just just calm down, everybody. Calm down. I don't know. This is something that bothers me a little bit. It bothers me I love the Pacific Northwest. I love our beer culture up here. It is a great community. I wonder if sometimes we're not a little snobby in this regard, not across the board, but just like in this particular regard of like the idea that, well, yeah, beer's beer. It's not worth getting that worked up about. It's not worth getting that excited about. And yet we see in places like San Diego and LA, people getting very excited about beer and, going and buying it by the case, so they can trade with their friends and send it across the U.S. for Trillium or Other Half or what have you. Why are we this way?
I can tell you. I mean,
okay.
Well, it's part and parcel of what I was saying earlier about LA being so late to the scene. I think they're still passionate because literally took almost 30 years from, if you look at when when Oregon passed the beer bill to say you can sell beer on premise, it's like 85. So that Widmer and Bridgeport and McMenamins, these breweries could operate.
They all opened up in the 80s. Yep.
And fast forward to, well, not even fast forward, but before that, Northern California was the first burgeoning craft beer scene, which we'll get to. But we've been doing it for so long, it's what Jeff Allworth has referred to as a mature beer market, which is true. We've been doing this for a long time, and it's, yes, we know better than everybody else, so whatever you're doing down there, it's okay, fine. But it's true. Like there is, and you know, working for Day One, bringing in things like Drecker and weird smoothie sours,
right?
With
yeah.
lactose.
So you're
there's that.
You're literally sitting in the juxtaposition of this because, not that long ago, there's a place in Portland called Function. They have 2 locations now, but for a long time it was just 1 location. And their whole thing is they are a pop-up pub. Other pubs come in and do their thing there. And I know, like, there's been several. I know North Park was very exciting when they had their pop-up pub here. And so was Monkish, was ridiculous. And I loved seeing that because I liked seeing that excitement. There was this, like, genuine passion of I have to have this beer. It's finally in my area. The scarcity plays a role in that.
But it's the same mindset as LA, where it's like we've never really had this phenomenon where I can go down the street and drink beer in my neighborhood.
It's true.
And we're like, oh shit, we've never seen Monkish before. Wow, this is exciting. It's that like spark that all of a sudden people are excited and crazy about it. And I think it's the same idea. It's just a different permutation.
Yeah, but that's the beautiful part too. Like you said about Function, it gives you that opportunity to feel what other, communities go through. And it does fuel that spark. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I like that spark. I love to see Brewhouse doing well and doing can drops that people line up for and everything. Wasn't that long ago we saw more of that from Great Notion, and not as much now. But I think that might be more about having 8 locations now and a much larger brewery. They're making more of the beer, so it's a little bit more accessible to us.
We're selling a lot of their beer throughout Oregon, outside of Portland, so it's more accessible for sure. So things change a bit, but they're still very popular, and they still sell a lot of beer
as it should be. But yeah, I enjoy seeing that at Brewhouse for sure.
Oh yeah.
Jenny has a connection to Brewhouse.
Me too.
You too.
Yeah. You first.
You start, Jenny. Jenny, what's your connection to Brewhouse?
So my connection with that is we have a little place called St. Lovejoy's. It is a little restaurant inside of Brewhouse, and it just happened to be a beautiful match made in heaven because just Sam from his background, and I know him from when he was in Temecula brewing there, and when we found out that he was even, looking for a restaurant partner, that's when we're like, oh, we should go check it out and see if it's something. And we did a whole tasting for Sam.
Who's we?
So it's Chef Colin Murray, and he did a whole tasting for Sam, and Sam was like, this is it. This is amazing. This is what I want. So and it's so complimentary because they both do very quality. Between the quality liquid and the quality food, it just was kind of it was perfect. So yeah, check it out when you get a chance. Go to Brewhouse and eat some great food.
Absolutely, yeah. If you haven't had Brewhouse beer yet, they're doing some rad stuff.
A legit drop on Saturday too.
Yeah.
What's your connection, Warren?
It sounds like you've probably known Sam longer, but I met the folks that he used to homebrew with in Temecula. They were on their way to Seattle, stopped in at the bottle share at Beer Mongers within a year of me starting to do the bottle share around the time of CBC being in Portland, which is when I really got all in on beer in this in the lovely city of Portland. But they had 2 12-ounce bottles. One was a triple IPA, and one had Brett, and it was a Brett IPA, and we're just like, what is this? This is crazy. This is cool. It's good. It's 5-gallon batches or whatever. And then when he moved up to Newport, I met up with him at Modern Times, and it was cool to just be make the circle complete because I didn't realize who he was.
Oh, trust me, I was just drinking the beer. That's how I know of him. I was just like, oh, cool.
Yeah. So yeah.
So let's continue up. Let's take the 101 because it's more scenic.
Ooh, yeah.
To head up to San Francisco, so we can We can stop by Pismo Beach, put our toes in the sand. We can stop by Firestone Walker.
Oh, no. Oh, we're going to go to...
Big Sur.
We're going to go hit Paso. Okay. We're going to go to Firestone Walker.
Okay.
We're going to get the tour.
Can't forget Libertine, which still
Libertine.
exists, I believe.
Go to Libertine. And if you're going to be over at Firestone Walker, might as well stop by Figueroa Mountain.
Figueroa Mountain's out there. We can stop in San Luis Obispo for There Does Not Exist.
Yeah.
We could stop
trying really hard
into Santa Cruz and Monterey and see Alvarado Street and Humboldt. But eventually make our way into the Bay Area. The Bay Area, I guess I'll start this one off because I went to 12 straight SF Beer Weeks. I broke that streak this year for good reason. Bridge and Tunnel wanted to brew a collaboration with Weiss Beer and release it for their anniversary. And then we got invited to Festival of Dark Arts as well. And I was like, well, that's what I'm doing this week.
That sounds like a really good plan.
And it was a good time. So we missed out on SF Beer Week this year, but we'll be back. We'll be back. San Francisco beer for me is, I think back to my early visits, and I think it might be a little similar to LA in that it came on strong kind of late. There were some players there, 21st Amendment and Anchor being the oldest, continuously operating. Well, them and Yuengling go back and forth as who's older and who has the claim, but I think Anchor Steam goes back. I feel
like it does
further.
Yuengling is the oldest family-owned brewery in America, which means they're older than the second or third oldest, which was in Minnesota when I lived there, which is Shell's, which is 1853 or 1850 something, so 1880 something. So I'm pretty sure that Yuengling predates Anchor, because Anchor didn't start until the 1890s.
I was going to say, because the common, the steam beer. Because of the
Yeah, so 1890s.
There were photos of this steam beer phenomenon on the roof. Yes,
was Anchor. Got it. Nicole's gonna steal some beer. She's allowed. It's okay.
Everything was positive.
That's really fun, actually. I like that. Pop in.
Sorry, I guess I wasn't supposed to acknowledge that, but Nicole took some beer, and
we're
it's
having
fine.
a good time.
I think it's great.
For San Francisco beer, I think they came on late. I think of San Francisco beer, and I think of really a wide range that came out of there. There was a lot of things that I think they were more experimental with early on and throughout the last decade. Going down for SF Beer Week, I know that's the first place that I saw wine infused beer, this actual blend of beer and wine happening. Sure. That was really interesting to me. I think you had everything from the Rare Barrel to, of course, Russian River. We'll count them. They're a little north, but. We're going to count them for San Francisco. If this is a contest, we're claiming Russian River.
No problem.
It's tougher to define Northern California because in Los Angeles and Orange County and San Diego, you're talking about a county, whereas San Francisco. Northern California.
It's the Bay Area.
You have Marin, you have Sonoma, you have all these different
counties. And I get corrected
counties.
often on no, that's not Bay Area.
It's Bay Area.
And I'm
in my head,
if I can get to San Francisco in 20 minutes, how is it not the Bay Area?
Bingo. I was what about Petaluma? There's Petaluma, and then just north of there, between Hen House.
I'd say
and then
Hen House and
North Coast to Monterey or Santa Cruz maybe. Yeah. Is my idea of what Northern California beer is or what the Bay Area is.
So I think of some longevity from that area because 21st Amendment's been doing it a long time at a high level and continues to. Of course, we mentioned Anchor, and I know when they open their doors, they're not far from there. They're an hour and a half north of San Francisco, but a brewery that's very near and dear to my heart, Anderson Valley Brewing Company.
Sure.
When they opened up in 1987, they were the 24th licensed brewery in America. So there was not a lot going on in 1987,
No.
but here was this great place. I think the other thing I think of, Jenny's repping it, but I think of Toronado and just what that beer bar that opened in the 80s. Toronado was one of the first places to pour Anderson Valley beer in 87. Anderson Valley still makes Brother David's double and triple. Brother David is David from Toronado, who wanted a Belgian double and a Belgian triple made locally and to pour at Toronado. So I think about those things as just like iconic places to visit, zeitgeist. There's definitely, if you're here in the Portland area and you've been to Apex, like I literally tell people, Apex is a San Francisco style beer bar.
I agree with that statement.
Yeah.
That was well.
Because Jesse was
Yeah.
at Toronado in San Francisco, right?
There you go.
It totally models
The owner
it.
of Apex,
Yep.
Jesse.
You've got loud music. You've got stickers
Too many
all over
Underberg
everything.
caps.
Graffiti all over everything. Just the weirdest crap everywhere, all over the walls.
punk and motorcycles and
Very-
mixed firm
very punk.
PNCs on draft. And,
Yeah. Toronado. Okay, I'm gonna tell this Toronado story.
Okay.
Toronado is my favorite place. Toronado, they've got a reputation for being a little edgy, a little angsty. I'm in there for SF Beer Week. It's packed. It's shoulder to shoulder. This guy walks in. He's dressed very well, and he has a date with him. She's also dressed very well. They come to the bar, finally get the attention of the bartender. They kind of squeezed up next to me, and they said, "Can we get a Blue Moon, please?" And
Insert gas.
the guy behind the bar goes, "We don't have Blue Moon." Walks away. Comes back to them. Comes back to them and and is like, "Okay, what do you want?" "Well, we just want 2 Blue Moons." And the guy's like, "Look, the closest thing I've got to Blue Moon is Allagash White," which, okay.
Duh.
Let's
Hell
do
yeah.
that.
Way better.
But yeah, Allagash White. And then just walks away. And I'm like, okay, these people are finally just get an Allagash White and be good with it, you know. He comes back, and sure enough, they say, "Do you guys not have Blue Moon?" And the guy behind the bar just, "Get the F out of here now." Just kicked them out. And they were just
Classic.
like, "What did we do? What did we do?"
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the most Toronado experience I've ever had. And I was really just happy to be there for it. I was just like, this is great. I ordered a Bunt Amber Ale after that and went, thank you. This is everything I ever wanted. Really fun moment. Sorry. San Francisco beer for you guys. What do you think, Jenny? What comes to
Francisco.
mind for San Francisco beer?
100%. There's actually the big one for me has always been just because of going up there to visit, and you're trying to get as much breweries in as you can, and you have to get somewhere. Like in San Diego, you can go on to 30th and University, and you can hit so many places.
Right.
So in my head, it's like, all right, so how are we going to map this out? So for me, it's a lot of mapping and planning, and you
Yes.
want to support because you're also seeing some cool stuff along the way, and but the first and foremost had always been, it was Anchor Steam every time I went up there. I've done the tour, can't even tell you how many times at this point, and it never got old. It was the most amazing thing ever. My folks actually were up in Sonoma for a while, so Russian River was always our go-to. So it didn't matter if I was, in the Bay Area. I just went whoop, up there, had to go make my rounds, and I think it was. Correct me if I think 3rd Avenue Ale Works.
Yeah.
Yes. So that was another one always went to, and I think they actually just moved locations, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't think they're on 3rd Avenue. So how does that work? Someone needs to help me with this one.
Right. 3rd Avenue Ale Works.
Yeah.
Back when I was a young man getting into beer, That's where I had my 1,000th untapped check-in.
You're still a young man, Michael. You're still a young man.
I love it.
1,000.
That's the most facetious crowd noise
Good job,
ever.
man.
But yeah, that area, Anchor Steam, Russian River, and I feel like just because it's an older part of the craft beer community, I feel like going up there, honoring those places. Of course, Cellar Maker, and then it's just one of those spots where I always go back to the old school because why not?
Sure.
So
Yeah. Warren?
For me, there's two parts. One is 7 years ago for my 40th birthday, I drove from Portland to LA and back, or Orange County for
Went all the way down.
reasons.
All the way.
But in that trip, I got to go to Russian River for the first time and did Planet of the Younger because it was the same weekend as Super Bowl, where it was the first Levi's Stadium Super Bowl, and they were down at the Embarcadero, so I did all of that.
Crazy.
I went to Fieldwork for the first time.
We were there
You were
the
there?
same weekend.
Yeah, I was there.
I
That was-
don't think I knew you then. I don't think I knew
No, I don't
you
think we knew
yet.
each other. It was it was 7 years ago.
different hats too.
Yeah. Different.
That would
different
that
sport.
would that would have kept us on
hats.
separate side of the street.
Different sports ball.
Sports ball.
But to do the 2-hour wait in line meeting people from Minnesota, which I had been, gone, it's not quite 10 years yet, was awesome. Going to field work for the first time when they were still in their original location only. They had yet to sprout into whatever 6 or 7 locations they
There's a
have
lot
now,
of locations
including
now, yeah.
Sacramento and
Everywhere.
Monterey. But also Bear Republic before they closed.
That's absolutely Healdsburg.
yes.
Which was
Yep.
still at that time it still felt a little
Bay Area.
dated, but
Yep.
this was before Windsor opened for Russian River. It was when Bear Republic was still open. It was Fieldwork. It was I went to Barrel Works down in Buellton for Firestone Walker. But then the other part of it is the last time I went down was last fall. I went to Wondrous, which is
Yeah.
I can't recommend enough. If
can't
they made more beer, we would bring it to Oregon. It is phenomenal.
That's
Wondrous
exciting.
is literally wondrous.
It is. But they're brewing like 7-barrel batches or 5-barrel batches. They're tiny.
They are small.
They're very small.
And they are very, they're really into the Czech style lagers and West Coast IPAs, and I really like that brewery. There's new stuff happening there. Wondrous and Ghost Town are both
Ghost Town's been crushing.
both on the east side. Both good things.
Original Pattern, which I have not been
Original
to yet, but I
Pattern.
hear is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We just at Boonville Beer Fest, the Original Pattern guys. They're great. Finally got to connect with them a little bit, and that's they're making good stuff. They're making good stuff. Another new one that just came out of the Bay Area, Old Kaz. Old Kaz. They are the Ronert Park is where they're
Got
at,
it.
next to Santa Rosa.
Yep.
Right.
And they just won a World Beer Cup medal
Nice.
for their Mexican dark lager.
Awesome.
Very
So,
nice.
It's great.
That's always
Hell yeah.
exciting. That's
Yeah.
very exciting.
Man, I didn't know we were going to talk that much about just these 3 beer
California.
cities. We are obviously passionate about California beer and these beer towns. I want to see if we've got some questions we can get to. Do we have some folks submitted some question cards? Where's our question cards? Here we go. We didn't talk about Sacramento, mostly because they don't have a baseball team.
Sacktown.
Well, they kind of do.
Yeah, exactly.
The A's are playing in Sacramento right now, I think, in a minor league stadium.
They might be for
I
longer than
think
anybody
that's
expects.
what they're doing.
Yes. We'll see if they finish that stadium in Vegas. They might be in Sacramento for longer than they bargained for.
I've got some questions here from some folks, here we go. Bria has a question here.
Hey, Bria.
Yeah, you want to come around this way? Here's somebody. That somebody is Bria. And here you go.
Can I read my question because I'm not going to remember
Yep.
exactly what it said? Okay. So this is just to get some ideas going and hear some thoughts from you guys. Name 3 California breweries you miss the most. Like if you could be transported, where would you want to go? And then name 2 specific local beers you're enjoying right now. Or like currently, not like the second.
Wow. 2-parter.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
Beers or breweries for things now?
Beers local.
Okay.
Because then you don't have to like hurt
Sure.
anybody's feelings. And then California breweries.
Gotcha. Cool.
So Warren, go ahead. You can go first. First part of that was 3 breweries you miss. Maybe haven't. You hold on to that. You get to stick
3
around.
breweries I miss. I went to school in Orange, and we've worked with Chapman Crafted for a long time. We are going to be working with Green Cheek at the end of the year. And there's, like, I've never been to Bottle Logic. I've never been to Green Cheek. I've never been to Chapman. And I went to college there. So I will say those 3. Period.
Those 3
Because
you want to get to.
honestly, San Diego, I'd love to go to Ballast Point. I'd love, like, there's a lot of places I haven't been to down there. And the places I did go to, like Green Flash and Modern Times, I'm like, this is not really anywhere I really want to go anymore. And it's not that they're poor breweries, but things changed.
Yeah.
And then local beers, man.
2 beers
Like
you're
what
enjoying
2
right
beers
now?
You're like, sip, like what's in your fridge, or what did you just try recently? You're like, this is great.
Most recently, the honey saison that Granfer did with Firestone Walker.
Oh,
that's
that sounds really good.
on draft at.
Is that available still? Because that sounds
It's
great.
on draft at Monger's. Last I checked, it could still be there. They had it on with the Ghost Forest, which is a Brett saison from Foreland. I had side by side the other night, and it was phenomenal. So, bonus if you
Nice.
could find it, the Mr. Ordinary, the Away Days collab with Beermongers is amazing. If you haven't had a 3.8% English ordinary bitter, you're not living.
Sounds delightful.
This is true. ESB is life.
Let's see here. I'm going to take it to 2 different spots in San Diego. So picture this, because nobody works in San Diego. So it's a Wednesday. It's noon. You drive down to Ocean Beach, and you already put your toes in the water. You let your dog run on Dog Beach, and then you go to Pizza Port OB, and you get yourself your pizza. You get a pitcher of beer, a pitcher of Swami's even,
yeah.
and you sit there with friends, and you eat pizza, and you drink a pitcher of beer, and you don't have anything else to do today because nobody works in San Diego. So, so take it to the other side. You go for an amazing hike because, yes, in San Diego County, there are mountains, and they are amazing. And it's like high desert style. It's chaparral. It's amazing manzanita everywhere. And
Snakes.
Snakes, yeah, it's fine. Just carry a stick with you. And so you walk through the mountains, and then you have to drive back home, and you're like, gosh, I have to stop by McElhaney Brewing Company so I can
There you
have,
go.
yeah.
Nicolini.
So I can have a month's. And so sitting there after a long day of just like tromping mountains and just stopping by there on the way back into San Diego, McElhaney Brewing Company. Definitely.
Okay.
So I can't think of another one off the top of my head just because there's like so much deliciousness, but those are the 2 that make me think of the 2 things I would do. So
I'll
local beer,
put.
though.
Oh yeah.
Local beer. Golly, my fridge
Or
has
just
so
it
many
doesn't even
of them.
have to be local. Like, what have you been drinking? What have you been crushing
honestly,
on?
I've been Sun River recently because I remember one of the first times. Thank you. One of the first times after moving up here, I didn't know a lot about like Oregon breweries. I know what I've seen following from social media, so I nerded out hard when there's like, you know, people, and I get to see them like, oh my God, you're the people from this place, and I like love your beer, and I get very excited. Again, I carry the excitement with me. I can't help that. But you told me about Sun River, and you schooled me on it.
Okay.
So that was the thing for me that like kind of changed everything. I was like, oh, I got to obviously learn more about Sun River, so I started drinking more of their beers. But I just had their Mexican lager, and that was the one that just kind of was like perfect
Nice.
weather for it. So.
What about that Park beer?
Oh, I know.
Neither of us brought that up, but one thing that Jenny and I have in common is that she works with Fracture Brewing. I work for Day One, who distributes Fracture Brewing, and they recently did a very was American light lager with Motueka that gives it this nice zesty lemony thing going on, and it is phenomenal. and
Awesome.
it's
No,
very accessible.
For this weather, I'm like,
It's perfect.
give me all the light beers,
This
all
is
the light
float
lagers.
beer.
So, nah.
Can't wait for those cans, maybe.
Yeah, well,
Hopefully.
fingers crossed.
Yeah.
Do I get to play this game too?
yeah,
I'll play this game too. What am I? I'm gonna go one from each of these represented cities, and say that I'd love to. It doesn't exist, so I can't go back to it. I don't think. Maybe it does in some way, but I remember in 2013 we went to Lost Abbey and Port Brewing. We're in the same thing,
Yes.
Yeah.
same
Yep.
building with this L-shaped bar that tasters, 4-ounce tasters, were $1 and $1 and $1.50.
It's another time, another world.
And I had the time of my life. Yep, it was great. I tasted so many great things. And then I gave the keys to my wife. It's my wife, Bria, if you didn't know who was the question I pulled. It's my wife. You got more fans than anybody. Yeah, I gave her the keys. We drove out to Carlsbad, where we stopped, and I had a couple more at Pizza Port.
Yeah, Carlsbad Pizza Port's one of my.
Yeah, right
That's great.
there, like walking distance from the beach. And then we walked out onto the beach, and I crashed and just took a nap.
There you go.
So way to
I
go.
want to go
Sweet
there
son.
again.
Yeah.
I want to do that again. I can't because Lost Abbey and Port, that's now someone else's.
It's now Pizza Port.
It's now Pizza Port.
Yes.
Okay.
And
okay.
It
Well,
all comes together in the
Yeah.
end.
it all comes
Yes.
together. Well, all right.
There you go.
Well, maybe I can try to recreate that in some way. Going up to L.A., I was just there a week and a half ago. In fact, we can crack one of these and share it
Yeah.
with you guys. I love Everywhere beer. It's very, very wonderful.
Former brewery
And-
folks, yeah.
Yeah, I was just there. Go ahead. I'll hand it off to you. Everywhere beer, came from the brewery Tarot, if you're familiar. And I walked in there. So I took my son down there for his 12th birthday. We went to Disneyland. And on the way home, I said, I got to stop by Everywhere. I walk in there, and the Day One guys, Day One Distribution is at the bar.
It's Robbie and Niall.
Robbie and Niall.
Yeah.
And I just went and stood next to the bar, stood next to Robbie, stood there for a few minutes, finally just nudged him, didn't look at him, just said, "What are you drinking?" And then him and Niall both turned around and freaked out. What are you doing here? And it was really fun. It was a good time. Everywhere Beer is just making some really great, like, similar to Wondrous in that way. Of like, it's the Czech style lagers, the modern pilsners, and the West Coast IPAs. Like, they do hazies and stuff too, really well as well.
And barrel aged pastry things that are amazing.
They do do some
Yes.
big barrel aged pastry.
Very
So
good.
I love it there. Really cool vibe of the place and everything. And then San Francisco also was just there, but Anderson Valley Brewing Company is just such a special place in my heart. For just they're situated in this beautiful valley. They're on an 18-hole disc golf course, so you just grab some beer and go throw some discs and just hang out all day while endangered California condors circle overhead, just waiting for you to die of happiness.
Waiting for you to pass out. And,
Yes,
Yeah.
it's such a great place. So yeah, that would be mine. And what am I drinking on lately? Gosh, I own a brewery, so it's like that's what I've been drinking lately. Is I've been getting in on my own supply. But you know, out at Boonville Beer Fest, though, I drank a lot of a West Coast IPA by Almanac. That blew my mind.
Nice.
Okay, so that's
Was
a name.
so
like
good.
I haven't actually had Almanac in a long time, and back in like 2012, we used to pour it at Tiger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they would. I mean, but it wasn't IPAs.
No,
then.
right?
It was
They're
not
known
IPAs.
for like mixed culture things and sours and
this
barrel
is blowing my
program and
mind.
fooders and all of this. Yeah, and so they had their so at Boonville Beer Fest, the brewers camp on that 18-hole disc golf course.
Like
no one's
Firestone
playing
Walker
disc
kinda.
golf
Yeah.
because it's full of breweries camping out. Of course, they bring their festival setups. They're pouring out of their jockey boxes and everything.
Yeah.
And you just walk around and meet people, and they're all just, here, have some beer, have some food. Somebody smoked a whole pig.
I told you,
And it was-
accountants don't do this.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
It's
there's-
true. It's true.
There's no insurance agent Boonville Beer Fest. No, exactly. This is an industry that's just so fun to be a part of. I really like that West Coast IPA from Almanac. And then I will shameless plug. We have it. Aaron, our brewer here, made a hazy IPA that we called "To the Window, to the Mall," and I really
Love
like
that
it.
name, by the way. So good.
I have drank a lot of that, so it makes me happy. Thank you, Bria. Thank you for sing the whole to the wind.
Can I?
To the window.
I was going
to
to say
the mall.
your mention about Almanac in that we're going to have Lost Abbey back for the first time in 6 years to Portland.
Wow,
That's
very cool.
We
So
did a
Lost
pre-sale
Abbey's
and
coming back to
sold
Portland.
a lot, and it's
That is awesome.
primarily not mixed firm stuff. All new branding, all new canning because they were port brewing.
Yep.
Everything
Okay.
it was Port Lost Abbey, and then
Yeah.
Port effectively got moved into Pizza Port, which is why Pizza Port now occupies their tap room. And you have Lost Abbey's now newly branded
You
cans,
just
16
blew
ounce
Jenny's
cans,
mind.
and a couple of
another idea. I was like,
aha
So,
moment.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
coming soon. I don't know how soon it is, but we've got Lost Abbey on the way, which is cool.
That's really
I
cool.
am totally going to say one more thing from
Yeah.
Bria's question, and this is something I did often. It is Julian Beer Company. So Julian Beer Company is an offset of Pizza Port. We actually lived in Julian for a hot moment while we were helping some friends open up a restaurant. And our go-to was the Granddaddy Pep pepperoni pizza with jalapenos and smoked roasted garlic. Smoked jalapenos and roasted garlic, excuse me.
Okay.
And we would get a pitcher of the Martian IPA. Again, pitcher of beer and a pizza means you are sitting your butt down and you're enjoying friends.
And you're
hanging
definitely near the
out.
coast in San Diego.
Well,
Yeah.
'cause
And
that's
this
what
is
you do.
This is in Julian, so this is up in the mountains where we pick apples.
Oh, shit.
It's like
Okay.
a tiny old town up there. It's an hour away from San Diego proper.
Nice.
So you would drive up there, you'd go for a little hike, go hike Stonewall, go hike Cuyamaca Peak, and then you would go have a pizza and a pitcher of beer.
Awesome.
So
legit.
anybody who checks out San Diego, if you have to get out of San Diego and want to go adventure out,
Julian.
go to Julian. It's amazing.
There you go.
Well,
So-
while we're plugging people for free, we don't have any sponsors of the. This would be where we have a sponsor break
yeah.
right here. We would be like, hey, go do this thing and check out this place and do this stuff or buy this product. And we are for sale. You can sponsor Overthinkr. We'll let you.
Yeah.
So please contact us if you'd like to sponsor Overthinkr. But because we don't have a sponsor for Overthinkr, I'll start out and just give a shameless plug for O'Reilly. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Yeah. There you go.
Jamaican horn. Thank you. Awesome.
Yeah, who you want to give a plug for?
Me. Massey Nissan moves you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is that,
Thank you.
that's a very specific Nissan.
It's San Diego. That's
San
all I know.
Diego dealership of Nissan.
If you want to buy a Nissan
Right on.
in San Diego.
Okay.
I think I got a national one.
Okay.
588-2300 Empire. We're in the yellow pages.
Empire Carpet.
That's
It's
great.
Empire.
Empire.
Empire Carpet.
And they became
I
Empire
think
today.
they
Yeah.
still do
Yeah.
commercials today. Yeah,
They
it's
do.
true.
They still do commercials.
And they still look like they're made in 1997.
And it's like an animated little guy. Yeah,
Yeah.
everything.
Absolutely. It went viral there for a minute. The the founder, like an old guy now, around Thanksgiving this last year, had his whole family around, and they did 800, 580, 2, 300, empire, like together as a family. It was like, wow, that's something.
That's magic. It's magic.
Yeah,
it's magic.
It's beautiful. Shane Company is a good one.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I have a structured settlement and I need cash now. Call J.G. Wentworth. 877 cash now. There we go.
Oh, I totally messed that last part.
Well, this has been your sponsored segment, sponsored by nobody. Yet.
What about
Yet.
you create your own? To be like, hello, my name is Warren, and I'm an overthinker.
There you go. Oh, hey,
Little AA action.
It's just a little. I like that. Nice to meet you, Warren. Welcome.
I wanted to do that to begin the show, but I'm like,
That's pretty good.
I really
like
wanted
that.
to, and I was like, you guys gotta, have to
I do like that.
move the cameras.
Okay. I want to get into. I want to take us to a different place. I want to imagine that there are multiple realities. Into the multiverse. Here's how we're going to do this.
Awesome.
Imagine a world, if you would. Imagine with me. Imagine a world where Vinny never brewed Blind Pig IPA in San Diego. What does that world look like today?
Is that right? Is that
Just
the right answer?
terror.
Yeah.
My brain just erased. I don't know.
There'd be a lot of crystal malts and caramel malt.
IPA would be a lot more like Bridgeport IPA.
I think that's
It's true.
our IPA would be oranger.
Yeah. SRM, way up here.
Filtration? Non-existent. Oh, man, that's fucking hard. We'd be drinking a lot of lagers, too.
I think
probably.
everyone would still hate IPAs.
Yeah, because you were not becoming acclimated, because that was one of the go-tos that really helped boost and lift that flavor profile. And
Right.
people had to get used to it. It had to come from somebody who was going and willing to get behind it.
I think
that's what they did.
I think it was a pioneering beer that
I mean,
when hazy IPAs came around, they only like enhanced this movement towards late edition hops. We still call them all IPAs, and I still meet a person from time to time that's like, oh, I don't drink IPAs. And I'm like, well, when's the last time you had an IPA? Oh, it's been a decade.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about.
You don't know what you're talking about, yeah. Because IPAs have changed a lot. And what you didn't like was grocery store shelf turds with caramel and crystal malt and orange, amber hues and big bitterness.
Maybe tangerine flavoring.
Yeah, looking for that tangerine note,
Other
man.
things, yes.
I remember looking for that. I hunted that tangerine note.
One of my first home brews, I love to make browns as my first home brews, but anything that was an Avery
Don't tell
Maharaja,
Ezra.
it was Avery Maharaja clones.
Maharaja.
That's what I was making.
Okay.
And we're talking like, 2005. Avery Maharaja clones.
Wow.
Avery
legit. That's
Maharaja.
early.
Yes, it's been a long time since I've seen Avery.
This is the first Imperial Stout I think I ever had was Avery in 95, 96. Ooh, out of
Something
bounds
about
stout.
Avery
Watch out.
Maharaja clone.
Oh my God.
It was,
I love that beer. I went to the brewery when they were still in a business park. I never went when they had built their own separate standalone deal in Boulder. And it was the same time when Crooked Stave had not built out their space in Rhino, and they were also in a little space.
That's the only place I've been to of
yeah.
theirs too, is the little strip mall kind of place.
Crooked Stave. Woo.
Yeah.
That was a time. Mid-teens was kind of the early, the sour wars, as I'd like to say.
I would say about
At least in
2015 to 2021. I don't know. It felt like mixed culture things didn't make it to the other side of COVID. But
No. Unfortunately not, no. But it's still out there.
Speaking of
Not dead completely.
Speaking of things that aren't going to make it. My next question here, in the multiverse. Notice it's not the multiverse; it's the multiverse.
Multiverse. Oh yes.
Into the multiverse. Here's the next one. What if the Oakland A's had moved to Portland?
Jesus.
What to do? What to do?
I got nothing. I'm like, dang. I mean, we can't even figure out where the hell we want our own baseball team to have a ballpark, much less somebody else's baseball team.
Right. Well, I mean,
them.
Portland was in the bidding for like trying to get the A's at one point. This was several years ago.
Okay.
You know, Russell Wilson was a part of that group.
Yes.
MLB to PDX and all of that. And they had identified a place to put a ballpark that was actually kind of over near Brewhouse.
It's where all of the cool things are opening right now, which is Brewhouse and Great Notion and Jerry's Tavern, Pizza Thief.
Yeah. So a really interesting part of town that could be a really cool stadium district where you're pre-gaming Great Notion and Brewhouse on your way to, you know, I one of the reasons I love baseball is this will sound weird at first, I'll clarify, but the affordability. Like, the Mariners still have many weeknight games that a outfield bleacher seats are $6.
Super cheap.
Just go to a game. Just go. And yeah, you're going to walk around and you're going to be paying, you know, $8, $9 for a can of beer, or, you know, $13 for a pint on draft. You know, that's not ideal, but it's really just so fun.
Same thing like San Diego. You would have like out on the green, the lawn, and you could just go get tickets for super cheap, and you just sit there and chill, bring your blanket. The kids can hang out, run around, and then you're buying $13 beers. But still, it's a good compromise.
And it could have been another stadium right on a riverfront, which to me, like, look at Pittsburgh Stadium. Their team is
beautiful,
pretty garbage, but they have a beautiful landscape. And like the Twins, I went there about Target Field before I left Minnesota, and that is a beautiful space. So you can see the whole downtown.
That's my American League team, the Twins.
Mine as well. Yeah.
All right.
So.
Hey.
Oh wait, can we have a moment
together?
Is this like a thing? This is a real thing.
Are we gonna?
We're gonna hold hands
hug it out?
Sing Kumbaya.
Okay.
Is that next?
We got to get you guys matching Twins hats. Little Minnesota Twins.
Well, the Twins
hat.
clobbered the Mariners today, so that happens.
Oh my gosh, let's not go too far.
Okay, I've got one more question that is outside this realm we currently live in. We're gonna go into the multiverse one more time. Into the multiverse. What if Everywhere Beer opened up a pub in Portland?
Sweet Jesus. Sorry, that's like every time. That's where I would hang out.
It's
That's
delicious.
where you'd hang out.
It's delicious for one.
It's amazing. It's great
Like
beer.
everything about it. I've only drank very little of it, and this just made me even more excited. So
Their Kolsch, we did
what I had.
Kolsch service at a couple different spots when they last came to town, which was a couple months ago, and it was
wait, can we expect
outstanding.
Kolsch service next month?
What if
could be.
Everywhere Beer opened a pub in Portland?
We just came back around at the same place we were in the multiverse?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. It would be, again.
It would be called...
Depends on where it was in town.
Function? Next month?
Look at you.
There it is.
The brain on Jen.
It would be called Everywhere Beer is opening a pub in
Can we
Portland.
be getting Kolsch service?
At
Baseball
Function.
analogies, dropping the ball.
Both locations?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, everything's both locations. Yeah.
Okay.
Everything is everywhere. All at once.
Everywhere is everything.
Everywhere.
Everywhere.
Everywhere beer is coming to Portland in June to take over Function. And basically what happens when Function has a takeover, it's immersive. They do a really great job of like, it's not just like a tap takeover. Like the glassware is going to be from everywhere. The signs on the wall, the decor is going to be everywhere's branding, everywhere's vibe. The sign out front is going to say everywhere beer. It's really a cool thing that I'm excited about. I hope that many others will get excited about it as well and be okay with being excited about beer in Portland. And yeah, line up for it. Go out there and crush it. Like it's phenomenal beer. It's worth being excited about.
And to see Function do what they do, I've been going there since he was partnered up with a different person. They were doing weekend pop-ups, and it was around the time Modern Times Downtown opened. And they had just come up from LA, and it was like, here's some welcome to LA IPA, whatever they did for Modern Times then. And it was a weekend thing, and then it was a weekly thing. And Barrelic's done it. They did you bring in your vinyl and spin vinyl.
That's super rad.
And now there's the expansion up north, which I'm hoping to hopefully, you may hear it here first, do an Upper Funk series, which is similar to the Upper Lip series, where we do symposiums and talk about beer things, because the nerds got a nerd. And
Yeah,
absolutely.
And then you have Northeast, which is on Alberta, the former Imperial Tap Room.
Speaking of nerds, let's bring another nerd up here for a question.
There you go.
Here's somebody. That somebody is Andre. Andre, come on up here.
Andre.
We want to hear from you. Come around the back and behind me. And yeah, we just want to, you've got a question here. I'm going to hand you your question card back so you know what you wrote down before. Come over between me and Jenny. And there you go.
Yeah, so my question here, being from San Diego myself, that is my adult home for 20 plus years, been in Vancouver for 3 years, and found Vice and fell in love with the place, and both me and my girlfriend come here every week. It's great times.
Thanks.
I'm very curious because we
too.
have all the representation from the different cities here. Where do you see the beer scene going up here? Seattle's not necessarily as lively with their craft beer scene. Portland, I would say, much more so, but it seems like a lot of the breweries in Portland are very family-oriented, which is cool to see as well. Lots of areas for kids to play and everything. Like, where do you see it going?
Yeah. Stick around. Stick around. Yeah, we're going to answer your question and talk to you. Where do we go from here in the Pacific Northwest?
Well, I think for starters, we just touched on Function, which is a lot of pop-up type things where it's imagination, it's trying new things. As far as family-oriented, I feel like that's traditionally what Portland's done, and it's kind of trending the opposite way. We're seeing more of a presence of cocktail-focused places, cocktails and mocktails and other beverages of low ABV or no ABV, zero alcohol, have become very popular. I feel like that is a trend that is unstoppable at this point, year-round, not just a dry January thing. So yeah, I mean, as far as the pub, it's I don't see craft beer changing much in the pub other than the styles within it. Family-oriented is tricky because I'm neither married nor have a child, and or even a fur baby. But I think there's more accessibility here and there, as there are breweries that are opening that are specifically doing that for sure. Still, just less common than it was 10 years ago.
I think Seattle is also. I hate to say this because I love Seattle. Seattle's, I think, really becoming an exciting place for beer. As we see folks like Cloudburst and Holy Mountain and now Human Robot and Bizarre Brewing are some of the new ones popping up there. I think they're really, there's a resurgence happening there. There's a place like Ballard Ballard Brewery blocks are just an incredible place to go visit and spend an afternoon where within like a 3x3 blocks, and we're talking like neighborhood blocks, they're tiny blocks.
Oh, yeah.
There's like
So close.
14 breweries. It's all so packed together and so cool. But that said, that all sprouted up much later than Portland, for sure. I think, Seattle maybe still thumbed its nose at Portland a little bit, called us hipsters and things like that for a while we drank our IPAs. But I think that's changing. I think that beer is becoming very accessible, and I think as this podcast grows, you'll probably hear me refer to this many times because I do in my daily life all the time. I think beer is following coffee. We're in third wave coffee now, where like coffee is accessible on every single corner, and I think beer is becoming that. And so when you see Great Notion, who has 8 locations in 3 states, I think you're going to see more of that. You're going to see more small pop-ups, like you said, but like locations, small tap rooms that are,
more draft,
we're here to service this neighborhood with one person behind the bar, and it's just our beer featured here for this neighborhood. Like,
and a small microcosm, I'll say, is just that just recently draft has finally come back to overtake package, which was king during COVID. So draft is a big showing right now, and I think a lot of people are still adjusting for that. So that's going to play a part as well.
Yeah. What are you excited about in beer coming up, or what have you seen that you're like jazzed on?
Well, let me tell you something I wasn't super jazzed on in Southern California when everything started to go limited release, where people were literally lining up outside of Bevmos and breweries, and it got to the point where it was like you're spending $30, $40 on a bottle that you theoretically need to leave in a fridge for like 5 years. Like, that's kind of when I started to not have so much fun anymore. And I'm kind of hoping it's not going to go that direction up here, but I do like the maybe more neighborly aspect up here. It's just a different culture up here.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head. Accessibility is one of the number one things that we have to stay in touch with, because that's how we share what we do best. That's how the breweries here in Southwest Washington, that's how the ones in Portland, that's how everyone can end up, collaborating together. It's being able to be accessible. And when we make it so it's not, if it's too crazy inaccessible, like, you can still line up, you can still this, you can still get it, but it just depends on your, on your timing. We don't have a lot of that up here necessarily,
right.
But it is important to make sure that, even if you can't get something, but you still have the accessible experience. You can still get something on draft. You can still find a bottle or a can, or go talk to somebody. Or, and I think that's the biggest thing that we have to keep in mind in craft beer, especially this area. We, as much as, like, again, there's a difference between like the excitement and the hype and waiting in line for stuff, which is super fun. But like you said, it has to be fun. And when things become inaccessible, like, you're like, I couldn't even get into the lotto to get into the lotto to get into the lotto to have a chance to win that beer.
Right. 4 families of mules in front of me that I could not.
I was like, oh, golly gee, okay.
Right.
So, but that's a whole other level of beer too. It's actually something that I actually personally stopped saving and aging beers, because it is for cracking it open now with friends and family.
Fresh is best.
Yeah, and another reason why too I really enjoy. I mean, IPA is one of my all-time favorite beer like styles on the face of the planet. It always has been. But now that we're going into like a Helles was also my favorite, but not a lot of people were making Helles 10 years ago.
Right.
So, and when they were like an amazing little tiny spot, And I feel like up here we have a lot of amazing tiny spots that are doing things so well, and that amazing beer is accessible. Like, we can get our hands on some delicious stuff, and that's what makes up here exciting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we're returning to diversity. I think we've been so focused on IPA for so long, and lager, but lager is coming up stronger. We're selling more red ales, pale ales, and brown ales. Sorry, Ezra.
Full circle.
It is a thing. people are wanting to drink classic styles again, which again is a sign of a maturing market where you're just like, I don't just need the hype thing. I want the thing that is delicious and sessionable, and I could drink on the river, or I can, sit at home on a rainy day and not get overwhelmed. Like,
there you go.
That's still a thing people want, which
Absolutely.
It's a big trend.
Thank you, Andre.
awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andre.
Cheers.
sure.
That actually became a thing up in Seattle, trying to hang out with some friends, as we actually literally avoided certain beer bars because it was literally all IPAs down the menu. It was like, I want something other than an IPA.
Give me something more.
Yeah.
There you go. Awesome. Thank you for the question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Super rad. All right, we got one more thing we want to do here. Real quick, y'all participated in maybe a fantasy baseball draft at some point, maybe fantasy football, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to draft.
What's on draft?
This is a California brewery draft. We're going to assemble our fearsome threesome of a California breweries. Warren, you're down on the end there. You've been awarded the first pick of the draft. This is a snake draft, so it's going to go Warren, Jenny, myself.
Sure.
I will get to pick again on what they call the turn, and then it goes back to Jenny. Then you'll get to pick again on the turn back, and then Jenny, and then I will have the final pick. And so, Warren, what is your first California brewery that makes your team of top California breweries?
Is this kind of also like a futures kind of thing where I'm getting a rookie that's very good, that's going to have a great life?
It could be a dynasty draft. Sure. Yeah, you could go for somebody that you want, that you're like, I believe in this. This is gonna break out. Yeah.
Award-winning brewery, got the chops, in the right town, just purchased another brewery to blow up and sell beer in other markets. Green Cheek.
Green Cheek. Green Cheek's, I don't even know if Green Cheek's an up-and-comer. Green Cheek's phenomenal.
Like, they're great, but they're also very insular.
Took over a whole nother market.
Yeah.
They're local.
That's like you saying I'm going to pick an up-and-comer for the first pick of the draft. I'm going to take Christian McCaffrey, and I hope he works out.
I don't know what that means. So.
Green Cheek is incredible.
Niners fan, I understand.
Yes,
Green Cheek's
fine.
incredible.
Yeah.
Okay. Jenny, who's your first pick?
Oh, I think I know what Jenny's going to pick.
Yeah, of course. You just went in Green Cheek, so I was like, all
How do I counter that?
Yeah, okay. I will go with North Park. It's North Park Beer Co.
Yeah. There we go. North Park it is.
I could feel that one in my bones.
Checks out.
Yes.
That makes sense. I'm going to take with my first pick. I'm going to go outside of the three cities that we've been talking about. I'm going to go into the Sacramento area. I'm going to go out to Rockland, California, and take Moxa.
All right.
Oh, very nice.
I will take
Very
Moxa
nice.
with my first pick.
nice.
Moxa's doing incredible stuff. They're actually one of the cans we have here from California that I'm going to crack too. And they are going to be the feature brewery of Brews for New Avenues coming up here this summer. So that's a festival to look forward to, and some really incredible beer to also look forward to.
Oh yeah.
And there's somebody like you were saying, an up and comer. Moxa's hitting it now.
Oh yeah,
for sure. But they're located really close to where my cousins live, and so when we visited California, we were like, there used to be a brewery in that building that was like,
Yeah.
and then Moxa moved in, and all of a sudden I was just like, these guys are good. Why is nobody talking about this place? Now everybody's talking about this place, so that's great. Moxa's my first pick of the first round. So coming back around on the turn with the second round, my second pick is gonna be Everywhere beer.
Okay.
So I'm gonna take Moxa and Everywhere. Everywhere I think is an up and comer. I think not enough people know about them yet, and they need to.
All right.
Jenny, you're up.
All right, I'm going to go somewhere in Central California, actually. So in Central California, I have lots of family all over California. So driving through, I have lots of great memories. My great-grandfather lived in this area. And it's still, to this day, my camping trip with my daughter that we do annually.
I'm scared she's going to take my brewery that I wanted to come back around.
Uh-oh.
Kern River. Kern River.
Wow.
And they've been around for a long time.
Yeah.
They make some of my favorite beer, Citra.
Citra.
Yep, Citra. It's beautiful. I had actually a chance to watch the Great American Beer Fest there, and everyone was watching. It was great. And Rebecca and Eric, we actually switched hats. So I had my North Park hat on, and we swapped out hats when North Park was announced the Brewery of the Year award. So it was a really wonderful time. But again, because of my childhood experience there as well, just being on the Kern River and camping, and they make some amazing stuff. So if you have not been out there, or if you can make your way down, I highly recommend it. It's beautiful. So it's also at the base of the Sequoia National Forest. You can go hiking up there too.
Nice. All right.
Okay.
Love it.
You got 2 picks now.
I do. Number 1 is Cellar Maker.
Okay.
And I choose Cellar Maker because if you look at what Cloudburst and Pint House Pizza in Texas and Highland Park, they're all associated. Green Cheek is part of that as well, where they're brewing each other's beers. But I feel like Cellar Maker was the first that really did what Ruse once called the Ruse IPA. It's a hazy West Coast, or a West Coast, whatever you want to call it. Modern hops, opaque, but, still drinkable like a West Coast, a little pinier. So that, to me, is what puts Cellar Maker on the map. And
Fort George picked them as part of their 3-way, so
100%.
It's a good pick. Who's your next one?
Number 2 is got to be the classic LA one, Beechwood.
Oh, very good.
I go Beechwood Brewing and blending because you get, that's kind of a 2-for-1 deal at this point, because Ism took over the original, or not the original, but the Long Beach barbecue spot.
Right.
And you have the blendery still in Long Beach, and you have a bunch of outposts now all over Orange County and Long Beach area.
Fantastic. So your 3 are Green Cheek, Beechwood,
Cellar Maker, and then Beechwood.
Cellar Maker and Beechwood. Yeah. Green Cheek, Cellar Maker, Beechwood comprises your team. All right. Jenny, who's your final pick?
All right. Well, it would be obvious, but I'm not going to go with my obvious choice. So
you should do your obvious choice.
I know.
I think I know what that one is. Yeah.
But one of my favorites, which is a very much it flies under the radar, 100% in San Diego. They make a lot of English style beers, but it's New English. They actually recently went to cans in the last 3 to 4 years, which is shocking because they were bottles for years. Their Explorer ESB is one of my all-time favorite beers. But they are a beer, like I would go paddleboarding out in La Jolla Cove, and then I'd go over to New English and hop, skip, and a jump and go have a beer there afterwards. So I highly recommend, again, if you're in San Diego, it's along the same vein, if I'm not mistaken, like if you're going to Gravity Heights, which is also Skip Virgilio's place. He was alesmith previously, and they have an amazing restaurant and brewery there. And so I would go to New English and then pop right over. So there's a couple places to visit in San Diego.
I've not heard of them.
Yeah,
That's
they
really
literally
cool.
fly under the radar every time, but they've been around forever, and everybody
seek them out
all
on
the
my
beer
next
nerds, the brewers. It's a brewers brewery.
San Diego
essentially.
trip.
I also hear Michelini is pretty good too.
Yeah, no, trust me. There's this. This is a hard game,
I know.
guys.
It's a hard game.
I just had to mix it up. I had to mix it up with some New English,
your
though,
team
like
is
some English style beers.
North Park, Kern River, New English.
Bingo.
All right. I got the last pick, and there's a lot to choose from left, but I would be remiss not to go back to my OG brewery love, and that is Anderson Valley Brewing Company.
Beautiful.
They still just have such a special place in my heart for just such an awesome venue. It's the place I was with a friend when we went to our first SF Beer Week 12 years ago. And I sat at the bar with him, and I just remember the moment of being like, this is what I want to do. This is what I want to be a part of. There's something about this industry, and I just kind of had an aha moment. We even joked about, there were 2 hawks flying overhead, and we joked about one day we'll have a brewery, and we'll call it Two Hawks Brewing Company for this moment. We didn't do that.
No.
But That was a moment, and that's the draft. That's
a good one.
What we're gonna do, we're gonna put that up on the social medias, so folks can vote on their favorite of the teams we've assembled, and determine what. We'll see. We'll see what they end up with for their favorites. Jenny and Warren, super stoked you guys came to talk about rad California things. This is really fun.
No, this was a lot of fun.
Thanks for having us. It was
Thanks
awesome.
for coming out.
Oh, yeah.
But that's it. That's Overthinkr.